Hey, shut it down. Is that the future of the WNBA? Getting shut down, closed for good. See you later. Thank you. Come again. The owners doing their best in negotiations. The owners seem like they're coming to the negotiation.
The tone was casual, almost dismissive, but the words hung in the air with the weight of prophecy. Shut it down. Is that the future of the WNBA? Getting shut down, closed for good. See you later. Thank you. Come again. What was once relegated to the realms of cynical talk radio or internet trolling has, as the calendar turns toward 2026, morphed from clickbait into a palpable, chillingly legitimate scenario. The question is no longer whispered in the margins. It is being modeled on spreadsheets, debated by former sports executives who have negotiated billion-dollar deals, and contemplated in the boardrooms of ownership groups. The WNBA, a league that has symbolized resilience and incremental growth for nearly 3 decades, stands at the most precarious crossroads in its history. The engine of this crisis is the stalled negotiation for a new collective bargaining agreement, CBA, a process that has degenerated from a collaborative effort to build the future into a high-stakes game of brinksmanship, where the very existence of the league is the ultimate bargaining chip. As we approach the hard deadline of January 9th, the atmosphere is one of profound uncertainty. The WNBA Players Association, WNBPA, in a move it labeled an unavoidable response, has authorized its 7-member executive committee to call for a strike. This is the nuclear option in labor relations. Simultaneously, the league's ownership has drawn its own line in the sand, declaring this their final extension, with no more negotiations scheduled beyond this date. We are witnessing.
As the calendar approaches 2026, uncertainty reigns over when a new collective bargaining agreement will get done between the WNBA and the Players Association. The Players Union has continued to publicly express displeasure with the state of negotiations with the player body last week, authorizing the union's executive committee to call a strike when necessary, a move the Players Association called an unavoidable response to the state of negotiations with
a slow-motion collision, with both sides accelerating toward a point of impact that could either forge a new, more prosperous era or scatter the pieces of professional women's basketball in the United States beyond repair. To understand the gravity of this moment, one must first dissect what is actually on the table. By any objective measure, the owner's current proposal represents a monumental, unprecedented financial commitment to the players. They have offered to quadruple maximum salaries, pushing the average player salary to approximately $500,000. Minimum salaries would see a significant boost. In the context of women's professional sports globally, this is a staggering offer. It would instantly make the WNBA the most lucrative league for female athletes in the world, a beacon of financial empowerment. This offer is not coming from a position of overflowing coffers, but from a league that has, by its own admission and according to all available financial reporting, never turned an annual profit in its 28-year history. The NBA's subsidization of the WNBA is a well-documented fact of its economic life. Therefore, the owner's proposal is less a reflection of current revenue and more a massive, forward-leaning investment, a bet on future growth so substantial it borders on an act of faith. Yet, the players have said no. The singular, immovable sticking point upon which the entire negotiation has foundered is revenue sharing. The WNBPA insists on receiving a defined percentage of the league's total basketball-related income, a model standard in profitable men's leagues like the NBA and NFL. Their position is principled and rooted in a fundamental labor concept. The workers, who are the product, should share directly in the economic success they generate. It is a demand for equity in the truest sense, a rejection of being mere employees.
Take your ball and go home, and then cry that the big bad owners in the WNBA aren't giving you what you want. How sad, how embarrassing. Now we have Dave Sampson over here, who was on the Dan Le Batard show, former executive for the Florida Marlins, helped them move with the new stadium with Miami. Let's take a look here what he had to say, saying this could be the end of the WNBA if the players continue to get greedy.
This is the moment. If you had any ability to invest and you wanted to start a league to compete with the WNBA, this is the time.
This is the time. All the players are free agents. It's hot. It's hot. There's no CBA currently. This would be the time to start up a new league, get your ducks in a row, and then end the W.
In a venture where their talent and labor are the core assets, this is where the negotiation transcends dollars and cents and enters the realm of philosophical and economic dissonance. The owners see their offer as a phenomenally generous leap into the unknown, a salary structure untethered from current profitability. They are, in their view, offering to share losses more generously, not profits. From the player's perspective, accepting a deal without a revenue-sharing mechanism means locking themselves out of the potential upside of the very growth surge they are currently driving, particularly in the wake of the transformative 2024 season. They argue that without a stake in the revenue, they have no guarantee of sharing in the future value they create, making them perpetual wards of ownership's goodwill. The strategic response from the WNBPA has been the strike authorization. As President Nneka Ogwumike explained, it is about securing leverage. However, a critical examination reveals the potential fragility of this leverage. The decision to strike now rests not with the full membership of over 150 players, but with the 7-member executive committee. This concentration of power is standard in such authorizations, but it introduces a complex dynamic. Notably, 2 members of that committee have publicly acknowledged equity stakes in Project B, a nascent, well-capitalized rival league that promises player ownership. This creates a scenario where the individuals empowered to pull the trigger on a strike that could destabilize the WNBA have a financial interest in an alternative model. It is not an accusation of bad faith, but an undeniable structural reality that tinges the negotiation with an additional layer of existential tension. The owners are acutely aware of this. As former Miami Marlins executive David Sampson starkly observed, the current moment presents a unique and perilous vulnerability for the WNBA. With the CBA expired, every player is effectively a free agent. For a deep-pocketed investor or rival league, this is a historic opportunity to recruit an entire talent pool en masse. The strike authorization, intended as a show of strength, could
saying how probable
unpopular to who? The 46,000 old jokes.
is that?
It'll be unpopular if the WNBA folds. Unpopular to who? To the large majority.
Damn, unpopular to who? To the 50,000 people that catch a Las Vegas Aces game on NBA TV. Unpopular to them? Unpopular to who? To the 78,000 people that catch an Atlanta Dream game on NBA.
paradoxically signal to such entities that the WNBA's foundation is cracked. The players' leverage assumes the owners have more to lose by folding the league than the players do by striking. This may be a catastrophic miscalculation. Let's examine that assumption. The WNBA's owners, primarily NBA franchise holders, are wealthy individuals and groups for whom the WNBA has largely been a passion project or a loss leader for broader brand and social value. They have absorbed nearly 3 decades of financial losses. The question they now face, presented with a demand for revenue sharing on top of a massive salary increase, is existential. At what point does a charitable investment cease to be viable? When does patience expire? The offer on the table suggests they are willing to lose even more money in the short term, betting on a Caitlin Clark-fueled renaissance. But a revenue-sharing demand changes the fundamental ownership model, asking them to cede a permanent claim to future revenues in a venture that has yet to prove it can generate sustainable profits. For some, this may be the bridge too far. Conversely, the players' need for the WNBA as an institution is absolute. While overseas leagues offer alternatives, they do not provide the same platform, cultural significance, or, under this new offer, earning potential. Project B is a speculative venture. The WNBA, for all its financial struggles, is a tangible entity with infrastructure, broadcast deals, and 28 years of brand equity. A strike that triggers a fold would be an act of monumental self-sacrifice. As one commentator framed it, The dynamic resembles a relationship where both sides are eyeing the exit, but one party has a far more secure landing spot than the other. This brings us to the brutal economics underpinning the drama. The players' demand is rooted in an aspiration for major league respect and compensation, which is understandable. However, sports salaries are not determined by moral desert or cross-sport comparison. They are dictated by revenue. The WNBA's revenue, while growing, remains a fraction of that of major men's leagues. The celebrated viewership numbers of 2024, while promising, require context. The massive spikes were overwhelmingly driven by a single phenomenon: Caitlin Clark. Remove the Indiana Fever's televised games from the averages, and the growth curve flattens dramatically. The players are, in essence, seeking to monetize a moment of intense but fragile cultural heat, betting that it represents a permanent new plateau rather.
Better living, go make it.
Go do it. I agree. I absolutely agree. And that goes what to Rudy has been saying. Shout out to Rudy coming out of the podcast. That goes what Rudy's been saying. You don't like what they're paying you at UFC? Well, then go fight bare knuckle. Go fight Bellator. If you don't like what you're getting paid here, go somewhere else and get paid better over there. If you're working at Home Depot and you love that environment and you want to be around that type of people, you want to be around giving services to that type of worker, well, you know, if you don't like the pay there, go see what they're paying you at Lowe's. And then maybe go to Lowe's. Go see what they could pay you at Harbor Freight, and maybe go to Harbor Freight. People change jobs every day.
Than a peak. The owner's counter-argument is embedded in their offer. We agree the future is bright, which is why we are offering to pay you as if it is already here. They are prepaying for anticipated growth. The player's retort is, if you believe in that growth enough to pay for it now, then you should have no problem guaranteeing us a share of it when it arrives. It is a logical impasse. The owners fear locking into a revenue-sharing model that could become untenable if the Clark effect proves transient or if the next economic downturn hits. The players fear being left behind if the league truly takes off, forever capped by salaries that seemed generous in 2026 but archaic in 2030. Furthermore, the league's recent expansion model, selling new franchises for $50 million to groups in the Bay Area, Valkyries, and Toronto, adds another dimension. This influx of cash provides a temporary financial buffer and signals market confidence. However, critics might view it as a form of financial engineering, using capital from new investors to offset losses and provide liquidity to existing owners. Its long-term sustainability depends entirely on the league achieving the profitability that has eluded it for 28 years. If the CBA negotiations collapse and the league falters, the expansion dream could evaporate, leaving those new investors holding a very expensive bag. The social and cultural dimension of this standoff cannot be ignored. To suggest the WNBA's potential demise would be unpopular, as one host noted, is a vast understatement. It would be a seismic event in the sports and cultural landscape, a profound setback for women's athletics. The league, despite its financial struggles, is an iconic institution. However, sentiment does not pay bills. The uncomfortable question posed by commentators, unpopular with who? The 46,000 viewers? Highlights the gap between cultural importance and commercial sustainability. The WNBA has lived in this gap for its entire existence. The current negotiation is an attempt to bridge it, but the methods from each side are diametrically opposed. One side offers a lavish salary bridge, the other demands an ownership stake in the far shore. As January 9th looms, the scenario is rife with tragic potential. The owners have arguably moved further, offering a transformative economic package. The players are standing on a vital principle of equity. In a different financial context, a profitable league, their demand would be non-negotiable and just. In the WNBA's precise context of chronic unprofitability, it becomes an equation of profound risk. What happens next hinges on a final, almost psychic calculation of need and nerve. Will the owners, facing a strike and the dissolution of their 28-year project, blink and offer some form of revenue-sharing trigger tied to profitability milestones? Or will they, exhausted by losses and emboldened by their final offer stance, decide that the players' intransigence has finally tipped the scales from passion project to untenable burden? Will the players' executive committee, staring into the abyss, deem the owner's salary offer sufficient to forego, for now, the revenue-sharing dream, trusting that the next negotiation will happen from a position of greater strength in a more profitable league? Or will they call the strike, betting everything that the owner's emotional and reputational investment in the WNBA is too great to walk away from? The strike authorization is leverage, but it is leverage of a uniquely dangerous kind. It is the threat of mutual assured destruction in a conflict where one side may have already built a more comfortable bunker. The players are fighting for the soul of a fairer economic model. The owners are fighting for an economically plausible one. In the middle is the WNBA itself, its games, its fans, its history, and its future. On January 10th, we will know which imperative proved stronger. Either a new, groundbreaking CBA will be announced, heralding a bold new chapter, or the league will enter a void of strike and uncertainty from which it may not return. The message, "Shut it down," is no longer a joke. It is a possible headline, waiting to be written by the failure of two sides who both want the league to survive, but who cannot yet agree on what survival should cost and who should bear the price.